Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Season 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics right here on Apex Racing TV. Embarking on an 8-round romp around North America's and the world's most challenging tarmac, we once again shine the spotlight on some of the best LMP2 and GT3 drivers from around the world. After most of our racers successfully navigated Suzuka's daunting 130R for the full 75 minutes 2 weeks ago, tonight we head back to the old US of A and our National Park of Speed, Road America. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod with Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski, bringing you all of the best views of tonight's action. So, Larry, our racers, they go from what might have been the perfect mix of challenges at Suzuka, fast sweepers, decreasing radius S's, tight hairpins, and tonight it's all about digging out of corners and making ultimate speed. You know, as the points battles in all three of our categories, LMP2, GT3 Pro, and GT3 AM, as they're all really heating up, what should we be looking for now that we're at that halfway point in the season?
Well, Greg, I'm excited because I love being back here in the States at the National Park of Speed here at Road America, one of my favorite tracks. I seem to say that every week, but certainly I think we've got a great selection here in the Ricmotech series. But I think we're looking for tonight is going to be for some of the cream of the crop to really rise to the top. We saw some of that a little bit at Suzuka last time out. We had some folks even, like the fuel fit strategies that we had there in the LMP2 category coming home to ultimately decide that.
That's right.
And giving Christian the win there. I think he was the fastest guy in the race the whole time, but ultimately able to save a fuel stop, help him along to his win. Don't know if we're going to see that this week because this place is all about wide open throttle. And I think when we get to the GT3s in both the Pro and the AM, I think again the cream will rise to the top. This place is easier to pass. Suzuka was so tough. This place will be easier, and I think ultimately raw speed will rule out, and I think you're going to see a lot of the big names really collect a lot of good points tonight.
Yeah, Larry, I think that's exactly what we're going to see, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that finish in LMP2 at Suzuka in just a few moments, because talk about high drama. We definitely had it in the LMP category 2 weeks ago down in Japan, but at this point, we're going to dial things back just a moment. We're going to have a little bit of a history lesson this week, Larry, as we start to turn things over to Kevin Ford. He's going to give us our usual track guide that he gives us every single week, but he's giving us just a little bit extra this week. So let's turn things over to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Road America.
Welcome, everyone, to Road America, located here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 4-mile road course known to some as the Nürburgring of America. When racing through the streets of Elkhart Lake became cumbersome in the early 1950s, highway engineer Cliff Tuff chose these 525 acres to build one of the most beautiful and challenging courses in road racing. The first event was won by Phil Hill on September 11th, 1955. 1 year later, the famous SCCA June Sprints were born. Well, let's begin our track guide around this beautiful road course as we head up the front straightaway out of the final corner. Very long straightaway, 4,400 feet. That's right, a lot of overtaking opportunities on this high-speed entry into Turn 1 as we approach the start-finish line. Yeah, you can see this incredible length as we're getting up to speeds of about 160, 170 mile an hour, breaking down into Turn 1 here. Pretty fast sweeping right-hander. Drivers come out of this corner very quickly and head straight down through Turn 2, then approaching Turn 3 here. Very tight right-hander that'll bring us out onto the second longest straightaway at Road America. Again, overtaking opportunities here as we come underneath the Sargento Bridge and head down to one of the toughest corners here at Road America, which is the heavy braking zone of Turn 5. Down through the gears, heavy on the brakes, coming into the entry here. Want to rotate right to the bottom, get a nice smooth exit as we come up into some of the tighter sections of the road course here. Under the bridge, into this next left-hander of 6. This will take us around to Turn 7, which is a fast entry, and down into Hurry Downs. Into Turn 8, very tight left-hander, another heavy braking zone. Coming out of here, this will take us to the famous Carousel. Another fast sweeping corner that just never seems to end. And as you come out of this, boy, you are going to be flying as you come down into the kink. Picking up some speed here. Very fast entry. Want to lift just a little bit here and come right back to throttle. Take that car right to the outside. Use up every bit of track as possible. Down through the short backstretch here, this brings us into the infamous Canada corner. Heavy braking zone once again, down into second gear. It's some good rotation coming up off the corner and into the very tight section of Bill Mitchell Bend. couple of S's here, and then up into the final entry to turn 14. Coming out of 14, obviously you want to get a good launch here as it brings you out onto the big front straightaway where all of the exciting action happens as drivers race down into turn 1 once again. Coming across the stripe here, there's your track guide for Road America. Thank you so much for being with us.
All right, well, thank you very much to Kevin Ford of tonight's lap and track guide of beautiful 4-mile, 14-turn Road America from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the National Park of Speed. Larry, and we've got our drivers starting to head out on track now for their typical lone qualifying session. Again, a 15-minute session where drivers will have 4 laps to set their fast lap to set the grid for tonight's 75-minute race.
We've got some out there. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we're watching right now. We're just watching the 96 machine is Steve Daniel, and now we're on board with I believe Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine. But Larry, as our drivers are starting to go out, and it's rather early on in the session, why don't we take a look back? I think you alluded to some of this a moment ago here. We'll take a look back 2 weeks ago to Suzuka for round number 3. We'll run down and recap the finishes here, and then we'll take a look at the point standings after 3 rounds in this 8-round series. Let's start off with LMP2, where Christian Eisler took the win. And Larry, this certainly was not decided until the very last lap.
We did not see this one coming, that's for sure.
No, we certainly did not. And I'll bet you Eisler didn't see it coming. Eisler started off on the pole for this race and jumped at the start. Ended up having to take a drive-through penalty for this, and that who would have thought that drive-through penalty would affect the finish of the race? But
we
it
all
did.
Figured it was Lavender's race to win. His pit stop was clean. Eisler's pit stop was a lap later. We thought,
yeah,
hey, Lavender's pace is good. He's going to win this race until we got to about a lap from the finish, and things changed.
Yeah, and Caleb Lavender, driver of the number 333 D2D eRacing machine. There he is on screen right now. He had, I believe, somewhere along the lines of about a 25-second advantage over Eisler. And then on the very last lap at Suzuka, the motor shuts down. He's out of power. He's dead stick, just trying to coast to the finish, and Eisler gets around him on that very last lap. Lavender still managed with no power, manages to cross the stripe, finished in second.
Pretty much bumping the starter, I think.
Yeah, I think because he ran out of juice somewhere coming out of 130R. He had a long way to go.
It was a ways to the finish line, and he managed to just get across there.
Yeah, just got across ahead of Arthur Chan, who not one of Arthur's stronger races, but to see Eisler essentially be able to make it all the way to the end on one pit stop, primarily because he took a stop and go penalty and saved enough fuel running down the pit lane for his stop and go penalty. It was enough to get him across the line and take the win. And so we mentioned Lavender, then Arthur Chan in the Axon Driving Solutions entry. He finished in third. So let's take a look at the points now in LMP2, where Christian Eisler, based on that win, he now takes a commanding lead in the series, 80 points, but you can see how close things are in the battle for second right now. Randall McGrew in the Genesis SimSport entry with 68 points, and Caleb Lavender, how things might be different if he had taken the win 2 weeks ago. Caleb Lavender, that 333 D2D eRacing machine, he is 1 point back from McGrew, sitting in third, and then Arthur Chan, 1 point back, sitting in fourth, and Jennifer McDonald, who I believe actually missed a week. She's in pretty good stead right now, also sitting with 63 points, just back from our top 4 right there. So things are incredibly close right now in LMP2.
Yeah, and if you look at those points right now, they're basically best 2 out of the 3 rounds, and so that's why Eisler's got the 80 points with those 2 wins that he has. And if you think about, like you mentioned there with Lavender, had he been able to collect that win, that would have gathered him a few extra points. Remember, he had a pretty rough race at Mosport back at the start of the season as well. So, and then he had a rough round at Belle Isle as well. So he just hasn't quite gotten that signature, performance yet, having run out of fuel then in the third round. So he's had a pretty rough couple of rounds. He's the guy that desperately needs a win tonight. If there's anybody out there really pushing hard for it, it'd be him tonight.
All right, so let's take a look now here at the GT3 Pro category, where we had only 4 entrants at Suzuka. A little surprised by the size of the field there. Tony Kernan in the number 7 Kernan Motorsports entry. He took the win, with Evan Peichel and Jeff Jacobs finishing 2nd and 3rd. Travis Schwenke, who had been in the top 2 for quite some time in that race, had some issues in his number 16 Orion Racing Porsche, and he finished back in 4th. So let's take a look at the point standings now, again, after 3 rounds. And Tony Kernan, with 73 points, is currently sitting atop the leaderboard in the number 7 machine, with Mike Dam in the Orion Racing entry only 3 points back. And again, look how close this is. Evan Peichel in the Alpine Stars number 263 entry. That is the BMW M4 that Peichel is driving, only 1 point back from Mike Dam. Travis Schwenke and Jeff Jacobs now tied for 4th, but considerably further back, with Ryan Reeves, who made his first, made his first go at it just last round at Suzuka, sitting back in 8th. Elvis Rankin in that Apex Racing Team entry only ran round 1, and we don't expect to see him back for the rest of the season.
Yeah, a quick note on this one is Mike Dam is not signed up tonight. So this is a big opportunity for Kernan and Peichel, Schwenke, these guys to collect some big points. You can see right there your top 3, only separated by a handful anyway. So big opportunity here for Kernan and Peichel to extend those points while Mike Dam sits on the bench.
All right, well, real quick, before we jump over to the GT3 AM category, let's look very quickly at the timing pylon here and where we stand in our 3 classes currently in qualifying. Caleb Lavender in the 333 entry. He is your fastest driver on track right now with a 1:48.28. That is 0.2 clear of Arthur Chan. Jennifer McDonald, about a full second back from there. Actually, let's take a look. Chan with a 1:48.37, pardon me, so 0.09 off of Lavender's times. Jennifer McDonald about a second back from there. In the GT3 Pro category, we've got Evan Peichel. He is your fastest driver on track right now. There he is in the number 263 BMW with a fast time of 2:03.23. With Tony Kernan in the number 7 Porsche. He is 2nd fastest right now with a 2:04.04, so considerably further back than Peichel right now. And actually now let's reset things because both Travis Schwenke and Andre Saunders have both leapfrogged Kernan. So Schwenke now turns in a 2:03.69 and gives a nice little spin over there out of turn 1 for the crowd. Hi there, Tony. And Andre Saunders in the number 72 BMW. There he is in that all-black machine, currently 3rd fastest, and he is only 0.04 of a second off of Schwenke's time. So things very close up at the top. So let's go. We'll take a look now at the GT3 AM category, where Bobby Childs currently your fastest driver on track, with Eduardo Lorente and Russ Ruddick rounding out the top 3. And pretty close to that finish at Suzuka 2 weeks ago, where Lorente ran a great race in the number 9 Courage Motorsports machine to take the win, with Bobby Childs in his D2D E-Racing entry finishing 2nd. Steve Daniel finishing in 3rd. And then if we go and take a look at the point standings here, it is pretty much just like that with Eduardo Lorente. He is currently your leader with 63 points. Bobby Childs is 5 points back from there with 58. Then we've got 54 points for Steve Daniel, and you can see how tight things get there in that battle for 3rd, with Steve Daniel in the SKKJ Racing entry at 54. Julian Bell, who I get word now is sitting in the green room waiting for us. We're going to get to him here in just a second. He is currently sitting 4th with 53 points, and then Russ Ruddick only 2 points back from there. So, Larry, without further ado, why don't we? Yeah, great segue. Let's bring in Julian Bell, driver of the number 52 Graphite Racing machine, before he goes on track for his race today.
All right, Julian Bell has joined us. Julian, glad to see you to back out here at Road America, the America's National Park of Speed. Talk a little bit about strategies tonight.
To be honest, I'm not too sure, guys. It's been quite a busy week for me, and I literally just started practicing this afternoon in the official session. So for me, it's going to be, I mean, qualifying hasn't gone great, so it's going to try to be settle in quickly, kind of catch a rhythm with the other cars, and really just try to see what they end up doing and offset that, and hopefully that'll kind of come around in some type of way for strategy.
Yeah, so I know you guys in the Graphite Racing team. I've heard you guys may have some changes happening this week.
What did you hear?
Well, that's that's. But what are you willing to share?
Well, we had thought about car changes, but I think I'm gonna stick with the Porsche, just to kind of try to keep some variety in the AM field. But Bobby and Eduardo are both certainly looking good in the Ferrari, so I've got a bit of work to do.
Okay, so at least you're thinking about maybe making a platform switch. Maybe this week with limited practice, probably not the week to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully for the next race, I'll have the time, better time at least to get in and be at a little bit better pace. And I got some work to do to make up for the last race too with Suzuka. That just a couple of unfortunate spins there.
Yeah, that's a rough place too as well. Do you find, I don't know how much you've done between the Ferrari and the Porsche, if you found any differences, maybe braking differences, straight line speed, anything like that, where it might help with the remaining tracks to have one over the other?
For sure. And off the top of my head, I can't remember the entire schedule, but definitely, the Ferrari, at least for me, like I really love the way that you can trail brake in it. Like you can really just pitch the nose into corners so well, and just control that with manipulation of the brake. The Porsche is a little less unforgiving in that. It's definitely good on throttle out of corners, but I guess depending on the setup too. But you can't really throw it around under brakes quite as well, I find personally. So yeah, I think that's probably what you saw at Belle Isle with the first change that happened. With Bobby switching over, like he had great pace there. And I would say that was a good track for the Ferrari and just the attributes I said earlier. So that's something that definitely drew me to it at the beginning with wanting to make that change. And I think that's definitely a strength of it that you guys are going to see on the broadcast throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch that kind of transition. So certainly looking for that. So tonight, you just looking to survive and settle in. Any
Yep.
target, goals? Top 5, top 3.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I'd like to make it to the top 3 in the AM at least. Top 5 overall, I'd be happy with. Like, I mean, typically for me, like my strength is more in the race itself rather than hot laps. So, hopefully that comes around and I'm able to make up some positions. But I mean, just looking at the times of the guys at the top, pretty quick, and I don't know if I've got that in me today, but kind of put that to the side mentally as I get into it here, and just focus on the race. Like I said, settling into the rhythm of everything, and then after the first couple laps, once things get comfortable, try to start to push and make some positions up.
All right, well, good luck tonight. Hopefully you do break into that rhythm. It's a good long race tonight. Opportunities are there to do that, and maybe for a good clean race, and maybe we'll get that top 3.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Julian.
Yep.
All right, there you go, Julian Bell, driver of the number 52 Graphite Racing Machine. Thank you so much for joining us, Julian. And so, Larry, as we've got qualifying here wrapping up, just a couple seconds left, and it looks as though all of our drivers have taken back to the pit lane. Nobody on track here at the moment. It should make for some real great racing here. It's funny in listening to Julian talk about the differences between the Ferrari and his chosen steed for the evening, the Porsche, the differences there. And I think certainly when he gets to places like VIR, where we're going to be in round 6, or Sebring for the finale around 8, that change might really do him well. All right, so let's take a look at the starting order tonight, Larry. We're going to start off with our class up at the front, and that is our pole sitter, Christian Eisler, in the Punto CL Racing entry. Turned in a 1:48.028, fastest lap of the session for all of our drivers. He's going to start on pole with Caleb Lavender in the 333 D2D E-Racing machine, starting on the outside of row number 1. Then we've got Arthur Chan in the Axon Driving Solutions entry next to the BTL Motorsports LMP2 entry of Jennifer McDonald, and then Chris Thorman will round out that LMP2 field. and you'll be able to pick up all of those drivers. If you take a look, they will have blue mirrors, blue number boards, and blue windshield banners across as well. All right, Larry, why don't we take a look at our GT3s?
All right, GT3s on the pole tonight. He's into the 202s. Evan Peichel in the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing outfit. He'll be alongside Tony Kernan there on the front row, right there alongside Evan. On row 2 on the inside is going to be Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing. He'll be lined up against Mohawk Racing's Andre Saunders. On row 3, Jeff Jacobs, the veteran there, lined up against probably nobody, as there's just going to be 5 of them there in the pro classes. Kevin Ford is one of our administrators tonight, which gets us to the G33 AM. And on the pole there, Bobby Childs, the D2D Racing team. He'll be alongside Courage Motorsports, Eduardo Lorente. On row 2 in the AM, it's Russ Ruddock in the Flying Tortoise Motorsports. Alongside, we just talked to him, Julian Bell from Graphite Racing. And on row 3, Steve Daniel from SKKJ Racing.
All right, so there you go. That is the starting field for tonight here from the National Park of Speed from Road America. And as our drivers are getting ready to roll off here for their four-mile pace lap, it's gonna take a little while, but it's gonna give these drivers a lot of opportunity, get some heat in the tires, get some heat in the brakes, and be ready to go for lap number 1. But you know, Larry, as opposed to some of the other circuits that we've run at this year, certainly Road America is going to, although it's not the widest track surface at about 55 feet from left to right, you know, it should open things up a little bit for our LMP2 drivers, where we've had some issues in some previous rounds with the LMP2 cars as they mix up with our GT3 drivers. So it should make for some great racing tonight here. And really allow the LMP2 cars to show their speed. You know, I think, you know, not only with LMP2, but the GT3 entries as well. Obviously, fuel strategy is going to play a part here in this 75-minute race. We do expect that the LMP2 cars will need to make 2 pit stops, you know, but there is a lot of flat-out running here at Road America.
There really is, and that's one of the things I love about this place is it really rewards you for great corner entry and exit. If you can get through the corner, apex, and out really cleanly, you get great straightaway speeds. It also rewards those who can just hang on to the tail end of a draft. I know that some of these don't draft as well as perhaps some of our low-power cars, but that always does come into play, even in the big classes. A little bit of draft can help somebody either save some fuel or even save a little bit of tires if they can kind of just stay close, not having to work it too hard. But it also does play against those up in the LMP2s, as they don't necessarily like to corner with that draft. So it'll be interesting to see if that draft helps stay close in the straightaways, but when you get to the corners, maybe leave a little bit of gap to not wear those front tires too much.
Yeah, you know, and certainly some of the corners here that may not make a difference, like turn 5, fairly slow speed, but turn 1 is still a very quick corner. Obviously, you've got the carousel where the last thing you want is terminal push, as we see here as our LMP2 drivers come underneath the Speedville Bridge, and you can see how this right-hand sweep just seemingly goes on forever. And
it drops. The elevation change there. Sometimes you don't quite see it on TV as well when you're standing out there. That elevation change from the bridge all the way to the exit on the far side bridge, it's got to be 3 stories drop or so between there. It is a pretty big hill that you're kind of wrapping right. You kind of see the hillside there on that bridge. It really does make a difference, and that tends to throw away that grip a little bit. So there's a lot to keeping the tires in check and not pushing the car too much to be sliding around there, because you'd like your tires under you when you get to the kink.
All right, so as the pace car now brings the LMP2 field through the kink, you can see our GT3 drivers having made their way out of the carousel, coming underneath that Henry Bridge, and they will be, for the first time this evening, not at speed, but making their way through the kink. You know, it looks a lot less intimidating when they're only doing about 60 miles an hour, Larry.
Yeah, sure it is. Those walls get a lot closer the faster you go.
They certainly do. All right, so we talked about our LMP2 cars with the blue mirrors, the blue number boards. Pretty easy to tell the difference between an LMP2 car from our GT3 drivers. The GT3 Pro category, Those drivers will have red mirrors on their cars. They'll have the red number boards, and you can see them there, the red windshield banners, whereas our GT3 AM category drivers, they will have green mirrors, green number boards, and green windshield banners. Now, as the LMP2 field comes through turn 14 and onto the Road America straight, you can see the pace car now is in the pit lane, and as our pole sitter, Christian Eisler, brings the rest of the LMP2 field up the hill towards the start finish, we see our GT3 field now nicely formed up coming through 14, and now our GT3 field makes their way onto the front straight, and they get into that start zone, that acceleration zone, and Eisler now jumps out to an early lead side by side, Chan and Lavender. Then we've got Jennifer McDonald and Chris Thorman, and now looks like Arthur Chan has managed to get around Caleb Lavender, who started on the outside of the front row, as they make their way down now our GT3 field. They will get the green flag, and jumping out to an early lead there is that number 263 machine of Evan Peichel, side by side behind Peichel, Tony Kernan and Travis Schwenke, the two Porsches, with looks like Kernan will get the point there, move Schwenke now in the 16 car back in the third. Andre Saunders in his BMW, that black BMW, now side by side with Bobby Childs as they go down through turn 1. Look at that as they come through turn 3, and that may allow the top 3 to get away a little bit there, Larry.
It may just a little bit. Great start for Peichel and for Kernan to be able to hold their front 2 positions and get going. And then in the back, Bobby Childs, great run down into turn 1, ultimately down through 3 to get him onto that back straight. But I would say that the best start out there in the front was Kristen Eisler after the issues that he had at Suzuka, was penalized. We talked about that. Good, clean start for him. And I noticed something interesting. He stayed on the right side of the track, giving a draft to Arthur Chan, which allowed him to kind of get up in front of Lavender by the time they got down to turn 1. I don't know if that was strategic, but it certainly worked out that way to not be able to give the advantage to Lavender with any kind of draft to stay close.
Oh, and we just had a car go around coming out of the looked like coming out of turn 6. They're in the GT3 cars. We'll try and get a beat on that car, but it was towards the very end of the GT3 category here as we jump up and take a look here at the battle. You were just talking about the battle for second right now overall with Arthur Chan and Caleb Lavender as our LMP2 field comes up the Road America straight underneath the starter stand there to start lap number 2.
And already a pretty big gap for Eisler, who had gotten that really great start from the green flag, and he's able to already pull out kind of beyond the draft zone. But now here, looking back at this pack, as you've got Peichel leading Kernan and Schwenke, and those two Porsches, they almost look like teammates. They are not. Kernan not part of the Orion Racing. Schwenke, normally his teammate. Mike Dam not here tonight. He's going to be the lone soldier here fighting for the Orion. And that looks, I wonder if there was a slowdown penalty given to Bobby Childs back there, as he kind of came out there slow, gave up a spot there to Saunders. So I'm not sure what happened to Bobby there back at coming off of 13.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at we talked about that GT3 car that went off early, and I think this might have been Russ Ruddick. Let's take a look here. If you take a look on the right-hand side of the screen in the Lamborghini.
Just catches that edge of grass coming out of 7.
Yep, that was coming out of 7, making the way down the Hurry Downs, and just dropped the wheel, and around he goes. And you can see now already, Larry, here in the GT3 field as we go back to live action, we saw early on where Childs was side by side with Saunders. We had Lorente side by side with Jacobs, and with all that side by side action, our 5th, 6th, or fourth, 5th, 6th places have started to drop off just a little bit from our top 3 cars, from Peichel, Kernan, and Schwenke. As they have started to separate themselves out just a little bit there, as you can see, as they go down into turn 8, led by the 263 of Evan Peichel.
Yeah, it's a good little train there. I think everybody's sort of tucked in behind Bobby when he had whatever he was doing there coming on to the Road America straight and letting Saunders go by. That slowed him down, but it didn't really let anybody like Lorente and Bell get around. So everybody's kind of stacked up behind him. Right now, though, that front 3, specifically in Peichel, Kernan, and Schwenke, have really got themselves a pretty good run going with everybody else fading back. But up here in the LMP2s, Eisler just laying down great flying laps, already into the 49s here on the second lap of the race. He was on pole by about 2/10. I think he was a 48.0, obviously with 4-lap tires, a little bit warmer and probably some less fuel on board. But putting out a pretty solid pace here already in the 49s, putting pressure on Chan and Lavender to really try and hold form.
Yeah, and so as you mentioned, out-qualified the rest of the field by about 0.2 of a second that last time by, put a 3/500th of a second advantage on the rest of the field. So starting to build, put in those kind of hero laps at the beginning of the race, try to stretch things out here, give them a little bit of a buffer as our drivers head into their first pit stop of the evening. As we jump back over to the GT3 field now, and it looks as though the BMW Pikel starting to stretch things out just a little bit on the two non-teammates, the two Porsches of Tony Kernan in the number 7 Kernan Motorsports entry and Schwenke in that number 16
somebody
Orion
off in the
Racing
background
entry.
was that Saunders?
That was I believe that was the black BMW of Andre Saunders, and indeed it was. He went off, dropped all 4 wheels, drivers left into the grass there coming out of turn 3. And as we have here now, our second and third place runners going under braking into 5. All right, let's jump back over here.
This is Chris Thorman.
Thorman, currently running 5th in the LMP2 field, is right now about 2 seconds off of Jennifer McDonald in the number 99 machine. And Thorman was I guess a late add to the LMP2 field. I believe his first, not that late, I believe his first round was at round number 2. And you can see he's still trying to come to grips with the chassis here and get up to speed.
It's definitely different. I know that he does a lot of our other series that we have with the Miatas and such. Obviously, the LMP2 drives a bit different. It's such a long car, and that sometimes takes a bit to get used to. You can see a good shot of it there. It is a very long wheelbase vehicle. This thing is meant to go around these kind of tracks, specifically around places like Sebring and Le Mans. Meant to really use the full length of the bodywork for us, and that takes a long time to get used to around corners like at Road America, where everything's a lot of these digs off these 90-degree corners like you've got here at turn 5. To get this thing to turn in just right, rotate on its nose, it's not very easy. In turn 6 here again, where the bottom kind of drops out as you go underneath the Corvette bridge, very difficult in a car like this, and that may be something he's just still building up the speed on here in this field.
Yeah, as you can see now, our LMP2 field starting to stretch out quite a bit here, but not stretching out. Let's take a look right now. We're on board, or not on board, but we're watching right now Julian Bell in the number 52 machine, right back behind Eduardo Lorente in that black, yellow, and red Ferrari. That is the battle for 3rd right now in GT3 AM.
It's very interesting to see this. We talked to Julian. He said he's in the old faithful Porsche. He wasn't quite ready to make the jump to the Ferrari, but if he had his choices and had his time, I suspect he would have put some testing time in and gotten himself maybe into that Ferrari. So here he is, tail to nose. He's in the nose of the Porsche, trailing the tail of the Ferrari. Wonder if he's wishing he would have been in a Ferrari, or if he's thinking maybe the Porsche is a pretty stable steed.
And for a second there, it looked like he was thinking about jumping to the inside there, going down on the braking into turn 5. Thinks a little better of it, and slots right back behind Lorente. Back behind them is Jeff Jacobs, quite a bit further back. However, you can see Jacobs leading a little train there with Steve Daniel and Andre Saunders in that black BMW who had just gone off a lap ago, sitting right back behind. But great battle forming up now.
Yeah, Julian had talked about the way that you can trail brake the Ferrari with its brakes. You can really rotate that more mid-engine around as you need it. But I'm watching the stability under braking in the Porsche. Julian, there's no squirm, there's no squish, there's nothing moving around. Whereas going into 5, right in front of him, Lorente had a lot of wiggles under brakes. And I'm wondering if right now having the stable brakes is actually better for Bell than having the trail brake ability of a Ferrari.
Yeah, and excuse me. And not only that, I think, Larry, excuse me. I think here as we see the Porsche going in, and again, there are a number of corners here, that you carry a good amount of speed through. Obviously Canada Corner, obviously turn 1. We saw that long, steady state sweeper of the carousel where the Porsche seemed to make up a ton of ground. For a moment there, it looked as though Bell was going to go right through the prancing horse on the back of Lorente's Ferrari. He was able to carry the speed that for a track like Road America, perhaps the advantages of the Ferrari, there are some corners there that it may help, but obviously the Porsche may be a little bit stronger over more corners here.
What I'm seeing here is a lot of that, where it looks like the Porsche is quicker through the corner, but I'm not sure it's got the legs on the straightaway that the Ferrari does. You watch on the straightaways, you'll see that corner speed come with the Porsche right up on the back of Lorente, and then Lorente is able to hold and continue on. And the only one that may be better than that is what we're seeing here is Saunders using a bit of a pick there of Jeff Jacobs to get around Steve Daniel. And Saunders there in that BMW, he was the one that had spun earlier, trying to make up some ground, get back up to where he was. But the BMW's got some pretty strong legs around here as well.
All right, and as we do watch that that number 72 BMW, Saunders currently running 5th in class. He was at the time, I believe, running 3rd in the GT3 Pro, but still trying to make his way up. And if he can get around the Mercedes of Jacobs, that would give him another position in class.
He may have been 4th when he spun, but he was 4th in the entire GT3 field. He was ahead of. You can see right now as he's back there behind Jacobs, then he's also behind all 3 of the leaders in the GT-AM class. He was ahead of that whole group, and that right now is critical for him. It's track position that he's lost by that spin. Luckily for him, no damage to the car, able to continue, but still not exactly the way he wanted this race to be going. But he's able to use now some of that power to get around the Mercedes going into Canada corner to get past Jeff Jacobs.
There you go, and he cuts right across the bow of that Mercedes going through Canada corner. So now move Saunders up into 4th. That is 12th overall. And as we jump back over to this battle in the AM category, just ahead of where we were. And yeah, you can see here is Bell. I think you're right, Larry. Maybe the Porsche just does not have the legs. He can stay in the draft there.
This is probably his best chance. And if he can, he has a shot between the next 2 corners to make up some ground. But see that? He just can't quite get the legs passing down the front straightaway, because if he would have, I think he is quicker through the corner. You can see it right there, how much quicker he is in the corner.
Yeah, as soon as he got out into the air, hit that brick wall, and you could see just his momentum just completely stopped compared to the Ferrari. Did not have that slingshot ability there, and has to get back behind. And I think what you're probably going to have to see him do, Larry, is use those brakes, is try to get ahead going down into turn 5, which is what he is. He's telegraphing it now as they head down under braking. And again, that Porsche looks so stable going into 5. And I think it looked like Lorente, didn't want to push the issue this early on in the race. But a good move there by Bell. Move him up now into 2nd.
Already, you've got your leader of the overall in the race, Kristen Eisler, already through about halfway through the GT3 field, coming up onto our 3 leaders here in GT-AM.
Yeah, and you can see how things have closed down now in the battle for 2nd with Chan and Lavender. Chan had about a 2-second advantage over Caleb Lavender. It is now down to less than 1 second as those drivers tried to make their way through traffic. And you can see here now as Arthur Chan tries to get a little draft off of the back of the BMW of Saunders coming out of the carousel, and they have closed right up here. And it's going to get
passing between carousel and kink. Never a fun thing to attempt.
No, too short a run there as they're both going to sneak underneath the Ferrari of Lorente, and that's gonna drop Lorente a little bit further away from Julian Bell. I'm sure not exactly what he wanted, but look at this. Lorente with a great move as Bell got balked by the 2 LMP2 cars coming out of Bill Mitchell going over in the 14, and that allows now did Lorente get by?
No. Bell's past Lorente, and he's going to hold that. But I think when we were on board there was Lavender side by side there with Chan here down the front straightaway. Chan able to hold, but boy, this is a pretty good battle here between these two. That was fun watching them slalom all the GT3 cars all the way through Canada through Bill Mitchell. That was fun.
All right, so now you can see here as it is the battle for 2nd right now with Arthur Chan and Caleb Lavender.
They're going to get to do it again through the GT Pro category.
I was going to say, Larry, they're going to get up. They're going to come right up to him as they go down into turn 5, and we'll see.
And I'll tell you what, Kristen Eisler did a much more efficient job getting through them, as he was able to be about 2 seconds or a good 1.7 seconds on his last lap faster than these two guys. And you can see Kristen Eisler was able to also get by the GT3 Pro category on the back straight, as opposed to Chan and Lavender having to do it through turns 5 and 6.
I mean, it certainly helped Eisler's cause that he was running solo, whereas you have both Chan and Lavender practically nose to tail trying to get their way, make their way through the field. He just picked up
another second even in this first half of a lap, just because of that, because he didn't have to do anything on the back straight, just sort of slalom and go through. And what you saw Chan, and now you could even see Lavender still struggling to get by Michael.
Yeah, having to go around the outside of Peichel, going through through the carousel there. Not fast for either one of them, but it's given a little bit of breathing room to Arthur Chan.
Look how fast Bell is, though, because remember, Bell was back there by that Ferrari of Lorente. Bell now on the heels of Bobby Childs. Bell's got some strong pace tonight.
And of course, he's already taken down one of the Ferraris, as he's now, as you mentioned, right on the back of Bobby Childs. This is the battle for the lead in the AM category.
Well, he had said that he didn't get a lot of practice this week. He was hoping to maybe settle into a rhythm and figure out this track. To me, this is one of the tracks that you can figure out. If you've driven anything here, you can jump into a new car and figure this place out pretty well. It's got the same kind of quirks, as far as your line through 1 and specifically through 3. And I think all he had to do was adjust to getting back in the Porsche that he's familiar with and get a few laps under his belt. Now he's showing that pace, trying to get back to where he was at our first round this season. We were back at Motorsport, where he actually, I believe, took the win in this GTM category. So he's trying to get back to that and collect some good points.
And sitting right back behind them, we'll have to keep an eye on Andre Saunders there in that 72 machine. If he can get around the two AM category drivers, the next car in line after that would be Travis Schwenke, currently running in 3rd, although Schwenke, I believe, somewhere around 7 seconds up the road. Yeah. We'll have to see if that BMW is going to, give a little deference to this battle for the lead right now and not insert himself right into the middle of it.
If I'm Andre Saunders, I would look at them like any other competitor. I need to get by these guys if I'm ever going to get to the next guy. Yeah. And he wants to push this. But he's also watching, and he probably can recognize how quick Bell is right now and really pressuring Bobby Childs. And Andre may be thinking this could be a 2-for-1 opportunity through possibly going into Canada. They might both be able to get Bobby if they set this up right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear there watching the BMW. He's got a little bit more pace. Of course, he qualified ahead of both of these drivers prior to the race. But again, he's giving Bell, I think, the space that he needs for the moment. He's not pressuring Bell all that much here. But look at this as Childs opens up a nice advantage here through the carousel, and this is where Bell really seemed to have an advantage over Lorente a couple of laps ago. But the tables have turned just a little bit. And might not be so easy, as you see here, making the way down to Canada. Bell certainly not anywhere close enough to affect the pass.
No, he's not. In fact, Saunders even now is thinking, okay, I can't be that patient. I got to get around this guy.
Yeah.
Saunders, just to let you know how strong his pace is, his last lap was a 2:04.6, which is the fastest of all the GT3 cars their last time through. So he's definitely got pace right now, and he's looking to use that. You would not be surprised if he makes a run and gets by Bell. We know the straightaway speed of the Porsche may not be the strongest. I think the BMW has it. We should see a swap for position right about here.
And as they head down the Road America straight, you can see here as the Porsche moved all the way to the inside to try to catch the draft off of the back of the Ferrari. And there indeed, Andre Saunders gets around Julian Bell. And, maybe it would behoove Bell to sit behind the wide haunches of that BMW and let him drag that Porsche up to the Ferrari of Bobby Childs.
Yeah, I totally think so. I think even Bell would recognize Saunders is only behind him in the first place because of his own spin. Good opportunity to sit behind him, learn some line, and maybe, take advantage of the big, giant monster BMW with the big power on the straightaways. So maybe cut a nice little hole for himself. Maybe even save a little fuel for him for his fuel stop later in the race. You can see Saunders quickly picking up again on Bobby Childs, especially through these little switchbacks here through 6, 7, and then ultimately up to 8. I think Saunders should be on the back of Bobby probably when they come by start-finish at the start of the next lap.
All right, let's jump back over now to the battle for the lead in GT3 Pro. We're now closing things down, and maybe the LMP2 cars working their way through caused a little more havoc than we had anticipated. Evan Peichel now under attack by Tony Kernan, with the BMW now only about 0.3 of a second up. Oh, and you can see there Kernan, he gave a little poke to the inside, a little peek to the inside going in the Canada corner, as he definitely appears to have the pace. That last time by was almost a half a second faster than Evan Peichel, Larry.
Yeah, he's definitely got great pace right now, and I think both of them have really put a hurting on Travis Schwenke behind them, but you can see Kernan there struggling. He struggled a little bit coming off of Bill Mitchell. I saw the car take a bit of a check, and there he does again coming onto the main straight. The car just went a little bit too wide. He had to kind of check up. You can see he lost some pace. But I really think that Kernan right now, we've talked about him in other rounds and even other rounds here in World Challenge, how he is a guy, much like we're talking about Julian Bell tonight. Once he gets into that rhythm, and once he gets a little bit of seat time, he becomes a real powerhouse late in these long form races. We're 20 minutes into a 75-minute race. Tony Kernan's really starting to come into his own and fighting for the lead here in the Pro.
All right, let's jump back here as we head back over to our leader, Christian Eisler, coming through the kink. And wow, it's just amazing to watch one of these cars with so much downforce and the speed that they can carry through that little complex there. But Eisler now with the advantage that he's got on Arthur Chan, he's still stretching things out just a little bit. He had about 0.2 of a second advantage that last lap and has now stretched things out, as you can see there from looking at the timing pylon, to a little bit under 4 seconds here. But Chan, he's still got to take a look in the rearview mirror. He's managed to separate himself out just a little bit from Caleb Lavender. Lavender now a little bit over second, maybe just out of the draft, Larry, as they come down to turn 1.
Maybe it's going to be close, and that isn't always a bad thing in these cars because, again, you get better front grip, better front aero if you're not in the draft. So ultimately, you can save some tires that way. But remember that Lavender did out-qualify Chan.
Oh, Larry, coming through the carousel.
Huge spin.
And you could see it. You could see it happening mid-corner as the front end of that car started to get away from him, and he pushed wide, dropped wheels on driver's left on the exit there, and there was just no other outcome than you were going to see, Larry, other than having the rear end of that BMW go around. And it looks like. Yeah, let's take a look
tonight. One of them wasn't all that bad through turn 3. This is one of the worst you're going to see here coming off of the carousel.
Yeah, let's take a look here, Larry. And you can see the car a little loose on entry and just runs wide. The nose of the car starts to push. Left wheels go off into the grass, and there's just so much of a load on the car. There's nothing that's going to happen other than you shooting right back across and into the wall, as you mentioned.
I tell you, when you're driving around that corner, you're looking for that last apex. You're trying to get the car perfectly to that apex where you can roll the throttle on and get it maximum speed down and set up then for the kink ahead. And he got on the gas early and committed to it, and you can see it unfortunately cause an accident. And really, the drive of that whole section right there was by Eduardo Lorente. If you notice him dodging in the background, he had to figure out which way is this BMW going to roll. He chose correctly, and he went to the right, managed to avoid what would have been an even bigger accident for him, and he's able to continue. But, rough night. I don't think Saunders is going to be able to continue.
No, it looked as though that run-in with the wall was terminal, given all the white smoke coming off of that car. And, of course, he's in the pits now. As we jump back to the battle for the lead in GT3 Pro, and Tony Kernan, he's starting to close things down just a little bit here on our leader. Difference that last time by about 1/10 of a second, so he's chipping away a little slowly but surely here.
He's a little erratic, I've noticed. Every time we kind of flash to these guys, you watch, he'll have a tire in the grass on the corner exit, whether it's coming off of 3 or coming off of the final corner onto the front straight. He's just got to watch sections like this. He just picks up a little bit of that edge of the grass. Those are what lead to wrecks like we just saw with Andre Saunders. So Tony Kernan's got to be careful. Keep it in check. You're not out of this race. Don't throw it away here at the 23-minute mark, knowing it's a 75-minute race. Flat out from Caleb Lavender through there. You just never lift. All the downforce.
All of it there, using every last bit. And a lot of the curbing here at Road America, although there are some gator teeth built into a lot of the curbing here, but still for the most part rather flat. It should not be a challenge, or should not be much of a problem to use that curbing in most places, even with these very stiffly sprung cars and cars that have these bottom trays so close to the pavement here. As both Chan and Lavender go, you can see the brake lock up there.
Yeah, rough timing to catch. Is that Ruddick?
That was Ruddick in the 95 machine.
He's back out of the pits. That's good after his incident earlier. But yeah, rough time to catch somebody is right at the breaking point going into Canada. Whereas what Chan was able to do is just kind of continue the road and continue on without having to worry about it. He was able to clear Ruddick in a good spot. And by the way, I just want to keep note of where Chan is relative to Eisler. He's chipping away. You can see that last lap for each of them, about 8/10 faster for almost 9/10 for Chan than Eisler. So Chan is not going away easily, for sure. We'll keep our eye on that as we flash back over here to the Jeff Jacobs and Steve Daniel battle. These two always seem to be hooked up in every race we do.
Yeah, this is the battle of the fourth. So we've got Jeff Jacobs in the 38 Mercedes. He's running fourth in the Pro category. Steve Daniel in the 96 Ferrari running fourth in the AM category. You're right, these two drivers seemingly are every week with each other there.
Yep. He's trying, and every week it's Jacobs in the traditional AMG Merc and Steve Daniel in a Ferrari pretty much every time. He's in the newer version of the Ferraris now, but wide there for Jacobs.
As Jacobs ran a little bit wide, hit the curbing there, and we see here Daniel trying to take the long way around the carousel, but that turned so long there. He brings the car back down to the apex, and still just about a half a car length back, but smells blood. We'll see if he has the wherewithal to try and make the move going down into Canada. We know that 38 machine can get very wide, however.
It often does. Good and solid into braking and turning for Jacobs. Nice cut of the apex. That's how you got to drive Canada, but always a difficult car to pass. And I think the Merc's got decent legs, although the two of these are going to have to yield to a flying Kristen Eiser for the second time tonight. It's going to go on by them. Eiser's going to have to just hesitate a second here, wait till these guys go through the last corner before he can clear. Maybe Jacobs can pop out and follow him.
And he certainly did wait for the last second to the point where he was almost right in the wheel well of that Ferrari.
But notice who's coming up right behind them and even catching a draft. That's Arthur Chan. He's now just a couple seconds behind Eiser, even within eyes. He can see him. He's going to flash his lights, hoping these guys will let him through, and they do.
Yeah, they both hold off there, and then you've got Steve Daniel trying to take advantage of it. Doesn't have quite the power there. Oh, looks like who was that we just had run a little wide there, coming out of one going into two with one of our Porsches.
Was it? I think it was Julian Bell. Yeah, in the Porsche.
All right, let's take a look here. We've got a replay coming up here,
and so Bobby turns in. Just under turn, and he threw it a little bit too hard. You've talked about how fast turn one is.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, you're trying to carry speed, and I think he just chucked it a little bit too hard.
Yeah. Gave it a little bit too much steering on entry, and the rear end walked around on him. And so that is going to move Julian Bell now down to fourth in class,
That's
13th overall.
That's big. That's really big. He was right there half a second behind Childs. He lost about 13 seconds in that exchange. He's got a lot of work to do to get on by Daniel, and then of course to try and catch Lorente later on. But for Julian, that's a tough break.
Yeah, so it seems like Julian is forever trying to get around Ferraris tonight. Next driver in line is going to be Steve Daniel in that number 96 machine. But after Bell righted that car, he is now almost 4 full seconds back from the number 96 car. As we jump back over to the lead here in GT3 Pro with Peichel and Kernan. And Larry, it's kind of where we left it before, with about a second separating the BMW and the Porsche.
And Kernan was getting really aggressive. I think he's toned it back a little bit. His aggression was leading to some fast laps, but then I think it also led to some hairy moments that he was having to catch the car. At this point, he's settled in. He's still the 1 second back. He'd really like to see that at about 7 or 8 tenths. He gets beyond the second, and you're not going to get any advantage from any kind of toe down these long straightaways.
And he just does not seem to be able to close the gap, but this may change things as both Eisler and Chan are making their way up and about to put these GT3 drivers another lap down. And it looks as though where Eisler's coming in now here, coming into turn 5, it might cause some issues for these two GT3 drivers coming out of turn 7.
Yeah, they'll get blue flags. They'll be asked to move over. They're going to try, but then again, they're in their own battle. They don't want to give up too much momentum. And so this right now is the best place if you're...
Oh, and you can see here that
Kernan does not want to give it up.
No, he does not. He moved all the way to the inside, moved offline there to defend, and now Chan is going to have to come around the outside. Both of these drivers, look
how close he is now. Look at Chan right on the back now. You can see he and Eisler probably 5 car lengths apart. This is a race. We got a race on here in LMP2.
All right, and here we go now as they come out of the kink. Now the separation only about 0.8 of a second as they make their way down over towards Canada Corner. Things are definitely closing down here. And coming through now, looks like the third car in line, Caleb Lavender, the 333 machine, is going to make his way around our GT3 leaders as well. All right, so coming out of 14, coming onto the front straight here, Chan is still... and actually lost about 1/10 of a second in the last couple of turns
draft,
there,
though.
but he's in the draft, exactly.
You can see that go from 9/10 to 8/10 to 7/10. There'll be high 0.6s under braking, and there they are. He's closed that gap almost the entire way now. Now he's got to decide. He knows he's got to do 2 pit stops. Does he sit here behind him, or does he go in for that stop? The only good thing about sticking behind him right now is they just went through the whole field of GT3s. They should have a couple laps here free and clear. You don't always want to give that up if you can. You'd rather come into the stops when you're kind of fighting through traffic and trying to find some clear traffic somewhere else. So this will be interesting to see what Chan does.
Yeah, and Larry, we estimated that our LMP2 drivers would probably get about a half hour out of a tank of gas here at Road America, and take a look at the clock there. We're getting pretty darn close.
Yeah.
So we'll see here if Eisler or Chan decide to come in, or if you would have thought that maybe Caleb Lavender would have been the first driver into the pits here, given the issues that he had. Maybe a little gun shy,
Just
but
not gonna let that go, are you?
No, of course not.
Caleb will make sure he doesn't.
Hey, I don't have to interview him at the end of the night. So let's take a look here, and who's going to blink first, Larry? Eisler or maybe Chan? Maybe they come in at the end of this lap. Again, Eisler, I'm sure he's been doing a little bit of fuel savings the last couple of laps here. Of course, he opened up the race with those very strong laps, putting good gaps on the rest of the field. But obviously with traffic.
That's all gone.
Yeah.
That's all gone. And I think Chan's settled into a rhythm as well. So I think that's kind of helped this come back together. Would not be surprised if one of them pull in right now, but maybe not both. And there
you go.
One,
Eisler is in, and Chan is in as well.
So remember, you have the option here. You got to take 2 fuel stops. You could short fuel the first one to get track position and then come in for the longer one later if you choose. Or you take your big fuel now and you come in for your splash and go later. These guys don't have to do necessarily the same strategy. And there, of course, is the 333 of Lavender. Also hit on the same lap. You talked about 30 minutes is the limit. That was pretty much it. You hit the 30-minute mark. Come on in.
All right, so we're going to watch, and we'll see what their strategies are here in the pit stalls, Larry. And then, it looks like we've got the entire LMP2 field now in as well. Thorman, I think, is the only driver who stayed out.
At this point, he might inherit the lead. Yes, he does. Chris Thorman is your new leader in the race via not pitting. So maybe he can get one more lap out of his fuel tank as he catches Schwenke.
All right, and first driver out is going to be Arthur Chan.
Yeah, he did short fuel the car. This will be interesting. Maybe he's thinking he can find a good spot here in the middle of the track by himself and not have to deal with Eisler until the end of the race. So this is going to be very interesting.
Eisler now underway, as is Caleb Lavender. They are both underway. So, Larry, what we're going to do here is we're right at about just a little bit under the halfway mark here. We're going to take a little break here now that our LMP2 leaders have come in for their first pit stops, and we're going to take a little break. We're going to thank our sponsors, and then we'll come right back to the action here from Road America. You are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here at Road America for Season 3 of the Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And, as we always ask, if you like what you're seeing here tonight, please go ahead and give us a big thumbs up here on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to Apex Racing TV's YouTube channel. Click on that notification bell so you can find out about all the great virtual motorsports action that we have week in and week out here. And Larry, look at this.
How can you not like this right now? Because Lavender right on the heels of Iceland. And we saw these guys come in. Everybody came into the pits at the same time, all of the top 4 except for Thorman. And coming out, it was Eisler ahead of Lavender. Well, Eisler's now back into the clutches of Lavender. And I suspect, based on what I'm seeing on the screen, there's some investigation going on between Eisler and I believe that was the 88 of Bobby Childs. And somewhere, I think when we were just coming back from break, they were side by side, and I'm wondering if there may have been contact. So we'll see if we can catch the steward's notes on that one. But certainly, it did not help Eisler, no matter what it was, because he's now got a very hangry Caleb Lavender.
Yes, maybe looking for a little bit of redemption after round number 3 here. Of course, Arthur Chan.
He's thirsty for a win. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what we're saying. And if you take a look here, Larry. Chan with almost a 17-second advantage now over Eisler and Lavender. Again, really short-filled there in the first stop, and we'll have to see here. Obviously, that's going to dictate him coming in much sooner. But you have to play the chances here. All right, let's take a look here, Larry. I think we've got what may have happened between the 88 machine and the
through 7
and Eisler.
Yeah, Ice was on the inside there, and Childs maybe didn't recognize that he would be that close. I don't know if the stewards will do anything there, but that's multi-class racing, and unfortunately, a little bit wide there for Childs. Eisler took the opportunity, and luckily didn't damage either car too badly, and they're going to keep on running. So we'll see if the stewards do anything at all.
Yeah, watching there is Child's good recovery there through the grass, got the car back underway and continued. But here in this battle for second overall with Eisler and Lavender, you can see they're coming up now on the back of Tony Kernan, who's running second in GT3 Pro here, and they're going to have to try and find a way around him, going through Bill Mitchell as they are now locked nose to tail. And I think luckily now for Evan Peichel, they're gonna find Peichel at just about the right time, and that's here on the front straight on the Road America straight. But you can see also here, since the last time we checked in with that GT3 battle, Evan Peichel's really opened things up on Tony Kernan.
He really has. He's been laying down flyers. In fact, just the last time by was his best lap of the race. So Peichel really, you can see it right there, 2:04.0. He is putting in some tremendous laps, and Kernan just not able to hold that kind of pace at this stage. So wondering if the Porsche, we do know the Porsche tends to wear those front tires pretty heavily. Wonder if maybe he's put a lot into them. He's kind of maybe has to back off to let them recover a little bit before he can take it to the stab, catching up to Peichel. These guys, though, this LMP2 battle, this is going to be fun. Hate to see it come to this because of maybe an interclass mixing and some contact, but the fact that we get to see it now, this makes it all that much more exciting. Meanwhile, notice that they are 2 more seconds further down from Arthur Chan than what you had just said a couple laps ago. So they're not battling, but they're not fast right now.
They're certainly not fast. And given that Chan most likely is on a much lighter fuel load, obviously, and probably a much lighter car, obviously there is a bit of an advantage there as well. Again, playing.
Which may be what his strategy was, is to try and pull some faster laps the middle part of this race, open that up. Now he is going to have to take a longer stop next time in, but that's where the game is played. This is why we watch the races.
That's right. It's called strategizing.
Strategy. I love strategy. My favorite part. But I also love the hardcore racing. Right now, these two strategies out the window with these two. It's just thrown around corner to corner and try and lay down flying laps. Meanwhile, you're trying to slalom some of these GT3 cars and pick your spots. And for Lavender at this point, he just wants to maybe put pressure on Eisler, make him make a mistake.
All right, as they both come up and right back behind the Ferrari now of Steve Daniel, they're going to put him down another lap as you would expect here. And Eisler trying to break the draft Lavender as they come down into turn 1. I think
Lavender's having none of that.
Yeah, certainly not. Just going to mirror everything that he does here until he's close enough to make a move.
And we know that Lavender's got pace. We talk about Eisler with the 2 wins that he's had this year. Lavender's got a lot of pace. He was leading, obviously, at Suzuka. We talked about he's won races in past years. Very, very fast in this thing. It was only 2/10 off of the pace of Eisler in qualifying. This is a pretty much heads-up even battle between these two. And they're sitting second and third watching Arthur Chan pull away out in front.
All right, and they're coming up here on the back of Julian Bell in the 52 machine. Should point out, we talked about Bell endlessly following Ferraris. Bell did manage to get around Steve Daniel, so Bell now running third in GT AM. And he's got to find his way up to the Ferrari of Eduardo Lorente. But he's going to have to deal with Jeff Jacobs in that very wide Mercedes first before he even can think about that.
And we should see we've got a couple of the GT3s that have already taken their pits. In fact, Bell being one of them, Daniel being another. But I suspect that even the front runners soon will also have to be coming into the pits. So keep your eyes for Peichel, Kernan, Schwenke, Bobby Charles, Eduardo Lorente eventually should be making their stops.
Yeah, we anticipated that they could probably do somewhere around the lines of 23 laps or so max on a tank, Larry. And so, of course, our leaders in LMP2 are on lap 23 right now.
They're probably about 3 laps ahead of the GT3s
exactly.
Right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're probably at around lap 20, so probably starting to get towards the tail end of that pit window.
And for Peichel, as you can see him here, now he's got a little bit of breathing room. He can now pick his spots of when he lets the faster LMP2s get by. Whereas when Kernan was right on his heels, it just puts so much pressure on you, making sure you don't give up too much, and suddenly both the LMP2 and your competitor goes flying by. But he can now pick his opportunities. But look at this, right on his heels is Lavender. Might even be looking to make a pass here down the back straight.
As they come underneath the Sargento Bridge and make the run down to turn 5. Is he going to poke to the inside? Not this time, but he does open things up quite a bit. Tries to carry more speed through turn 5 than Eisler. Eisler not exactly using all the pavement there. There's a little bit of an advantage to be made, Larry, by going to the right of the curbing on entrance to turn 5. And
Eisler, I'm watching him catch little whiffs of grass on these exits, especially through coming off a 6 and going through 7. Got to be real careful. He is pushing. He's pushing hard.
Yeah, and you could see there as he came through turn 8, the rear end stepped out on him as well. Turn 8, one of the slower corners here at the National Park of Speed.
Might be the slowest corner on the track. It's right there with 5. Very, very slow corner, but so precise you've got to be because that exit curve is just unforgiving.
Yeah, it's teeth rattling.
Yes. Yeah, the speed throw through Canada is deceivingly fast. Now they're going to catch.
Coming up back on the back of Russ Ruddock again in his Lamborghini.
You see that closing speed that they have coming through, because the LMP2s, they're probably carrying 80 mile an hour apex speed through Canada, and so by the time they get to Bill Mitchell Bend, they're already doing 110, whereas that Lamborghini is probably just getting to about 75
or 80, yeah,
40-50 mile an hour closing speed. It's just moments that you have to make a decision whether you're going to go inside or outside, or both in the case of 2 drivers passing 1.
And Arthur Chan continues to stretch things out here now on both Eisler and Lavender. Gap now a little bit over 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is turning into a fascinating game of cat and mouse. As we were at the break talking about, you watch at the highest level Formula One, you watch their strategies. They don't do fuel stops anymore, but their tire strategies, they might go soft versus medium, and they might, try to make a set last a little longer. The old days they were doing refueling, same kind of thing. And this is one of those types of matchups where Chan has taken that strategy and said, I'm going to switch this up a little bit. Let me light fuel the car. Let me get back out there. Let me throw some burning laps in, come back in for a longer fuel stop, and hopefully have track position to hold these guys off at the end of the race. I just think this is a really fascinating change up here for Chan, and not just doing what everybody else does.
No, and you can see here now, obviously both Eisler and Lavender are going to come up on the same gap at some point also, but you can see all the open track right now that Arthur Chan has. And, and again, we talked about it earlier. It's and now Chan coming in for stop number 2.
Which will get him exactly 30 minutes to the finish. So he's going to fill this thing right to the burbling top to make it to the finish.
All right, and he has right now about a little bit over a 20-second advantage over Eisler and Lavender. The pit stops have been taking about 30 seconds, Larry. And, of course, the pit lane here, very, very long at Road America. This, well, we'll see. Of course, these other drivers, they're going to have another pit stop to make as well. But, perhaps, as much as Eisler and Lavender have been battling with one another, certainly I don't think it was part of Chan's strategy early on.
Well, I can tell you this: when
Chan hasn't had to fight with anybody.
Yeah, by the time they got one lap out of the pits, Chan was up by about 16 seconds, and right when he pulled off the track to go into the pit lane, it was almost 21. He picked up about 5 seconds of sheer track time. That right now is what he's hoping will pay off at the end of the race. It's gonna be a long stop.
And he's back underway. Yeah, it took about as long as the drivers did previously. All right, so he goes, and as you mentioned, he probably had to fill it all the way to the tippy top. But Arthur Chan, he is back out, comes out in 4th place in LMP2. But here we go.
So a couple things, as they're making their way around Travis Schwenke. We may have missed there just real quick. It looks like Bobby Charles, leader in the AM class, has taken his pit stop. He's in there. He's just finishing up his pits now. Lorente has not yet stopped, but Kernan has now entered the pit, so he's heading to his pit bay. We're still waiting on Peichel, Lorente, and of course Jeff Jacobs. And there's a good shot of Tony Kernan.
And so now it appears as though Lorente is the only one of our AM category drivers that has not gone in for his pit stop. Well, again, we suspect that, as he comes down, most likely next lap will be the one for Eduardo Lorente, and we'll see how he ends up on track there. He's currently running second of the GT3 cars currently, but is our leader in GT3 AM. All right, here as we jump back to this battle now for what is the battle for the lead with Eisler, our pole sitter tonight, and Caleb Lavender.
Yeah, these guys. I think maybe for Lavender now, he's probably thinking if we're going to catch Chan, we better just stay in line and just boogie. He's smart. If he's able to save just a little bit of fuel, what he'll be able to do is just shorten his fuel stop at this stage of the race. They may even come in together, or maybe he goes a lap or two longer than Eisler does when the time comes. For Lavender, it's an opportunity to maybe try and save some to try and win the overall race.
Yeah, and you can see they've worked their way into that big gap that Chan had just before he came in for his pit stop here. They've got, I don't want to say nothing but free track ahead of them, but they've got probably a good quarter to almost a half of this 4-mile circuit without any traffic ahead of them that they have to worry about here.
And that's a good thing for them to try and make this battle, to try and really put the pressure on Chan.
Right.
So just to give you the numbers, what was it, about 38 seconds right now? It's been about that way since Chan came out, so about 38 seconds from Eisler to Chan. So we'll see if that's about the same gap when the battle of Eisler and Lavender finally do make their stop as your leader in GT3 Pro, Evan Peichel, in the pits.
All right, and that should, I think, round things out for the Pro category there as Peichel works his way through. We'll see here if, and we're watching on board with Tony Kernan right now, if he can work his way to the lead. Separation, as we watched here, between the two, a little bit under a minute. That's going to be a tough one, though, as he's coming now through Bill Mitchell and into turn 14. We'll have to watch and see if he's able to get things done. Again, he had fallen back quite a bit from Peichel. Peichel now making his way out, and you can see there now Eduardo Lorente is going to be pitting in from the lead in GT3 AM. He was our last driver to make that decision, and now returning to the track in the lead, Evan Peichel. Tony Kernan not able to make up the gap, and Peichel now with about a 4-second advantage over Tony Kernan's Porsche.
Similar pit lane times in terms of entering the pit lane, exiting the pit lane between the two of them. So that advantage stays to Peichel as he had a pretty couple second lead, pretty big lead there before they came in to stop. So good for him. We're looking to see here for Lorente is where does he slot in? The Bobby Childs now back a little ways behind Bell and behind Daniels. I don't know how that all happened with Bobby, if he had lost that much position from the incident he had with Eisler, but Bobby's got work to do.
And Larry, I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look here, Larry. Getting word that we've got something here with Travis Schwenke. We're watching him here now as he pops over the curbing and runs wide, coming through Bill Mitchell and impacts the wall. Schwenke, who had been running third in the pro category, that is certainly going to drop him down. And Eisler
big wreck
now
for Eisler in the same spot.
Yeah, same spot over at Bill Mitchell. He goes and impacts the wall. That is going to move now Caleb Lavender up into the lead.
Well, that's huge. It's huge for the race as well as for the points for the season, as Eisler had 2 wins coming in. Let's watch this replay.
All right, here they come. You can see Eisler with...
it's a curb. Oh, he catches that exit curb and then does the same thing as Schwenke had done. Kind of spins the car around, goes into the wall on driver's left. That's a huge, huge impact there for Eisler into that wall.
Yeah, and you could see there, Larry, as he got into the curbing there, it just lifted up the rear end of the car there.
Yeah.
There was nothing he was going to be able to do to save that car. So that now moves Caleb Lavender into the lead.
This guy here also, Bobby Childs, is having struggles. He was the AM leader when all the pit stops started. You can see now he's 4th in the AM class, and he's a ways down the order as the lead in the AM has been handed to Eduardo Lorente. He's held on to it after his pit stop because Bobby Childs has had his struggles. So leader in the AM and GT3, he's under some struggles here. And now Eisler, who was on pole and led the first third of this race, seemingly out.
Out.
So now the battle is on between Lavender and Chan. And Chan now 37 seconds behind Lavender. And that's the battle we're going to be looking for. How close can he get when Lavender finally makes his stop? But wow, what an impact. What a change of events there for
huge. Absolutely huge. And you know how the pendulum swings, Larry, with last week with Lavender, with not great luck there at the very end of the race, and I guess we can call it an unforced error there from Eisler.
Definitely.
So a little bit of actually a lot of a surprise there, as we're on board right now with Eduardo Lorente, as you mentioned, currently our leader in GT3 AM, and he's got a huge advantage right now over Jeff Jacobs, who's running second in Steve Daniel, who's running second in class right now in the number 96 machine. Long way back, almost half a minute there. As we can see there, the 96 of Daniel working his way through all by himself.
Yeah, and from a points perspective, Lorente came in here with a small advantage on the field. He came in first, 63 points, handful of points ahead of Bobby Child and then Steve Daniels. Bobby was in that position to collect some really strong points tonight. That's not going to happen without some serious changes out in front of him. Lorente might be able to lock in some really strong points and maybe able to try to extend that lead a little bit. Same thing's happening in the LMP2s. It was your Kristen Eisler, who we just saw knock himself out of the race. He came in with nearly perfect points into this round tonight. He's not going to get any. Huge opportunity for both Chan and for Lavender to sort of close that gap down.
Yeah, and we didn't mention that Randall McGrew, running second in the points currently, not here this evening. So that will change things up. And again, coming into the evening, Lavender was only 1 point back from McGrew.
And Chan was only 1 point back from Lavender.
Yes.
3 of them just separated by 2 points. That's just huge now for Lavender and Chan, as you say, with McGrew out tonight. That's a big opportunity for those guys to catch up to Eisler and get ahead of McGrew. But what a huge change of events here tonight. The only thing that hasn't changed is Evan Peichel still leading in the GT3 Pro, and now it's even up to over 4 seconds. He's just been steady.
All right, and as we're on board here with Arthur Chan, remember Chan took the early pit stop in his first pit stop cycle. Of course, the early stop on the second stop in order to have enough fuel to make it to the end. And of course, we're still waiting to see when Lavender will bring that number 333 machine down the pit lane for his final stop, and whether or not he can overcome the margin that Chan had built up coming out of their first pit cycles.
Well, remember what the number I was looking at was when they went first out of the first pit stop. It was about 16 seconds. That grew to almost 21. So he had about a 5-second delta he was able to build. When they went into when he came out of the pits for his second stop, he was about 37 seconds or so ahead of Eisler and Lavender. Behind them. Now he's 41 seconds. He's lost. I think on that last lap, he had lost 2 or 3 seconds alone. He must have had an issue passing some traffic. That's playing into the hands of Caleb Lavender. But Lavender, will see if he's able to make a fast enough stop to do it less than 41 seconds, or otherwise these two could come out nose to tail with the last 10 minutes of this race. And it's Jennifer McDonald right now sandwiched right in between them.
So I'm wondering, Larry, that for Lavender, now that he doesn't have to play wingman to Eisler, that he doesn't have to necessarily look after the front tires as much as he did previously, that he's had a lot of clean air ahead of him, that he can perhaps put his head down and turn in a little bit faster laps than that last time by. Put in a 49.9, which is still about 4/10 off of what Chan just ran, but it looks as though Lavender's picked up the pace.
Yeah, he and Eisler were doing low 50s, and so he's a touch quicker than what they were doing before, and I'm sure it's much more comfortable. Sometimes some drivers like to have a bit of the carrot, a little bit of the rabbit if you're the dog chasing, and some others like to just hit their marks out in free space by themselves. And I wonder if Lavender right now is happy to be out there in free spaces. He just does a 49.0 on this time by. So yeah, I'm suspecting he's able to just put his head down and turn laps. For Chan, though, he's got to watch that gap as well. He can't let that fall too far, as it's now up over 42. He's now lost 5 seconds since the pit exchange. That number we were looking at was about 5 seconds. So I'm guessing we're going to see Lavender come in and out, and it could be pretty close here.
Yeah, it should be very close. Now, of course, we were watching Jennifer McDonald in the BTL entry, the number 99 car. She only has now about a 10-second advantage over Arthur Chan, and not likely that she's going to be able to overcome that in her pit cycles there. But currently running second overall.
Yeah, she's had a good, solid race tonight. Just mistake-free, which. It's a 75-minute race. A lot of opportunities around this long track to make mistakes, and when the mistakes happen, they are big penalties.
Big ones.
Saw. Yeah, we did. We saw earlier with Andre Saunders, and we saw it again with Kristen Eisler. Little mistakes lead into big damages, and so really holding those mistakes to a minimum can often get you on the podium. And for Jennifer right now, I think that's probably her target. As we look back on board now with our leader in the GT AM class, Eduardo Lorente, Courage Motorsports Ferrari, as he's just kind of done his thing and let Bobby Childs make the mistakes tonight and try to let the race come to him.
Yeah, and so Lorente with a substantial margin right now over Daniel, that I believe it's somewhere along the lines of it looks like over 40 seconds, I believe. Yeah. Now separating those two drivers, and we'll see how he handles things as Arthur Chan comes up on him, but again without anybody close by. Actually, that's not Chan, that's the 333 machine of Lavender, our leader.
Yeah, with nobody around him, he can certainly, as you say, kind of pick his opportunity to let him by. Doesn't have to worry about carrying speed. He can give up a half a second or a second by letting the faster car through. And for Lavender, he's happy that's happy to be obliged and be allowed to go through like that.
All right, so things starting to stretch out here in the GT3 field, and I'll tell you though, Larry, I don't want to say it's been decimated, but a lot of the GT3 Pro drivers with issues tonight, not continuing. We had both Schwenke and Saunders have to retire early, and so that's really made it a two-car battle for the lead there. And Evan Peichel, who we're on board with right now in that 263 BMW, has the geodesic entry, has run a very strong race tonight. Tony Kernan, of course, he just had, I guess maybe from the first 10 minutes in, just doesn't seem to have had the pace of the BMW. There's Kernan in that number 7 entry.
Yeah, he had struggled a little bit at times. He had a couple of good laps there in the middle part of the race where he was able to close the gap up on him. But since then, it's just been tough to keep pace. Peichel right now has been very consistent, lap after lap, running, as you can see there, 204 fours for both of them this time by. But that's been Peichel all night. He's just been running those kind of laps. And for Tony, a little slip here, a little slip there, just throws you back just a little bit. He's looking to lock in on this second place in the pro class as he's got going on by him. I think that's Chris Thorman.
That is the number 60 machine of Thorman. And Thorman currently running fourth. And he took his second pit stop as well, a little bit later, obviously, than Arthur Chan, but much earlier than Lavender McDonald. And that was a little bit of a surprise because Thorman was one of our last drivers to take his first pit stop.
Oh, well, this is interesting. So Jennifer McDonald is now in for her second stop. So I suspect that we're going to see Caleb Lavender in very, very quickly. As again, you talked about that 30 minutes of fuel number. Well, she's right now about that 29 minutes since her fuel stop. So we may very soon know this gap between Lavender and Chan, currently at about 42 seconds. Is it enough? Lavender looks like he's coming down here into 8. We'll see if this is going to be his pit in lap.
Yeah, and as we saw that Lavender, Eisler, Chan, they all took their first pit stops right at that 30-minute marker, just about. Oh, and look at this going off. That is Chris Thorman, who went off on the outside of the carousel. He's going to get back underway. That number 60 machine currently sitting in fourth.
That'll wake up Lavender a little bit, as he's probably thinking, Gotta turn the tire change off. I gotta select my fuel load. I've got 5 more corners to make it. Oh, there's an LMP2 car.
Yeah, I gotta watch this car in the gravel trap. Yeah.
But yeah, he's cool.
He probably had to do a double check there and make sure that it wasn't Arthur Chan who was sitting off there. All right, so as Lavender comes through turn 14, let's see if he makes that run into the pits. He's gonna stay out for at least one more lap.
Able to save some fuel, I think, while he was following Eisler for those laps, which I was suspecting maybe he would, because he stopped right at the 30-minute mark. They were in the pits for about 30 seconds, which means he's been out there for 30 minutes plus now. One more lap around is going to put him right at 32, almost 33 minutes of fuel. I think he was able to save some. And that's going to help him a little bit because that's even less fuel he'll have to take when he comes in. Shortening that stop by just a little bit might be enough to overtake Chan or stay in front of Chan. He gets by Tony Kernan. That's his sights on Evan Peichel just up the road. The speed difference, though, as you see, the GT3 is running 204s. The LMP2 is running 149s.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 15 seconds a lap faster on this place. You catch somebody so quickly, you can see already.
Well, I mean, just take a look in the speed trap going down, making the run down the marine sweep towards turn 5. Top speed for Caleb Lavender, 191 miles an hour, and that is 30-something miles an hour fast. As we see there, Evan Peichel's top speed 169. So a whole 20 plus miles an hour lower in terminal speed down that very long straightaway.
And then apex speed on some of these sweepers is such a difference too, with all the downforce and the lighter car there in the LMP2s. We had a good shot of the number 50, Arthur Chan, now still also trying to just turn laps in. He's got to watch. He's 43 seconds. It's going to be very, very close between he and Lavender. I think when Lavender comes out here, it could be any time. Arthur just trying to hit marks and not lose time at this stage.
All right, and into the pits now is Caleb Lavender from the lead.
Right. He's got 42 seconds to do it. His pit lane time earlier when they did a full stop, full fuel, was over a minute. He needs to be probably under 50 seconds or so this time through. Jennifer's was 57 seconds, so he's got to be in that mark to have a shot to stay in front of Chan. Could be close.
All right, as we've got just a little bit more than 10 minutes remaining here from Road America. Caleb Lavender pits in from the lead, and here's Arthur Chan coming through turn 14.
This is going to be very close because it's a splash and go for Lavender. He's still in his pit box.
And he's out now as he makes his way. And it's going to be so close here as he tries to get up to speed.
He's got position, but how quickly can he get to speed?
And he's got to get some heat in those tires as well, as he's been sitting on the pit lane for about a minute there. But Caleb Lavender, he exits from the lead and or in the lead here with Arthur Chan now just about a second behind with as you said, just about 10 minutes remaining.
Yeah, so this is sort of the flip-flop of where Lavender was about 25 minutes ago, where he was trailing Eisler by about this same margin. Just got to sat back there and had to turn laps. Now he knows he's the hunted car, and he's got to watch out for that hunter behind him and Arthur Chan. This is going to be a good race to watch all the way to the finish.
Yeah, and the difference is that Chan isn't going to be saving fuel.
No.
Here as they make the run to the end, that Lavender should expect a little bit of pressure coming into the final moments here of the race.
Yeah, I tell you what, that saving fuel behind Eisler might have been the trick there for Lavender. Might have been his real secret, because he was able to shorten his pit stop. If all he did was shorten that stop by 1 second, there's your gap. I mean, that's how these small margins come to play over the course of a 75-minute race. That strategy, as we talked about earlier, sometimes is the secret.
All right, as we go on board behind the wheel, behind the windscreen of Arthur Chan, as we watch him try to chase down our leader, Caleb Lavender, in the waning moments of our World Challenge race here from Road America.
Dan, very good there through the Canada corner, through a Bill Mitchell bend. Watching that exit curve, we saw Eisler get beaten up by. He looks very quick to this part of the track.
He does. He does, and you can see he made up a little bit of ground there.
About 2/10,
I'd say about a 1500ths to 2/10 there. And just on the edges of the draft as they come down the very long Road America
Straight. You can see that draft.
straight.
You watch that thing count down like a stopwatch. And Chan, a 49.1. That's solid right there. That's putting pressure on Lavender. Lavender by himself did run a 49.0 before his fuel stop. Now that he's got fuel on board, I don't know if he can turn 49.0s, but if he can't, he's going to have a very hungry Arthur Chan in his mirrors quickly. This is going to be fun, as just now 9 minutes, so could be about 6 laps or so. 5-6 laps to the finish.
And here, Larry, with all these very long straightaways, lots of opportunity to use the draft to just knock away, chip away, a tenth here, a tenth there, a couple tenths to get up closer, as you said, with just about 5 or 6 laps remaining.
Yeah, I think Arthur had a bad turn there at 5. It broke a little bit, little late for him. Lost a couple tenths. He's got to work to get that back, and this is not the point in the race where you can afford to make those kind of mistakes. But we know he's quick through Canada all the way back onto the front straight. He's going to have to be, because right now it looks like Lavender's very quick through Carousel and down the hill.
There you go. And you said that little bobble coming through 5 definitely hurt him. About a half a second just in that little sequence there. So what Chan had gained over the last couple of laps, he once again loses. They make their way through Bill Mitchell, and they've got some traffic ahead of them, as seemingly our leaders are always coming up on Tony Kernan as they try to make their way through. Oh, and they're going to have a lot of work here, as they've got to get around Russ Ruddock as well. In the Lamborghini, yeah. Both Ruddock and Kernan stick all the way drivers right up against the wall. And maybe not all the way there, as Arthur Chan has to split the difference, going down under braking in the 1. Wow!
He just split the outrights, and the kick is good right down the middle there, down the front straight. I thought for a second it was going to be all ending in tears there, but he was able to make it work, and he's able to get a run. He's got to make sure he gets on by Peichel before the end of this straightaway. He doesn't want to be catching Peichel through 5 and 6.
And he's a little further back. Is he gonna? Yeah, now he's gonna come down.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. He does not want to lose ground. Can't afford to sit behind a GT3 car through this little section, because there's nowhere to go by, or you end up side by side through whether it's 5, 6, or 7. None of them are good answers when you're side by side, LMP2 and GT3. But Lavender putting in some flyers right now, corner by corner, just getting it done. But he's is that Thorman out in front of him? I think it is.
Let's take a look. I think that is Chris Thorman out in front of this pair.
We'll get to that in a minute. But either way, maybe not. Maybe it was just my own eyes deceiving me. But you can see he's really hitting his marks for Lavender, making sure that he doesn't leave any opportunity for Chan behind him. Very clean right now.
And, Larry, now as I watch these two drivers come through Bill Mitchell, all I could think about is that huge hump on the exit curbing, driver's right.
Oh, yeah.
And and of course Lavender having seen the incident, I think he probably is a little bit aware of it as well. I don't know if Arthur Chan is even aware of what happened to Eisler, other than Eisler went out.
No, Chan may not quite understand, but we know that Lavender knows exactly what happened. He had a bird's eye view of that. It's now Lavender's got a view of the back of what I believe is Bobby Childs. Yep, the 88 right there, moving over for him. Bobby currently running 4th in the AM class.
As
about
we
10 seconds behind Bell for 3rd. So
as
Bobby
we have the clock ticking down, just 5 minutes remaining here from Road America. And once again, Arthur Chan going to try and outbrake a GT3 car going into 5. And here's that drag race that you were talking about, Larry, but can get on by up the hill.
2 laps in a row where Chan caught the same car at the end of the straightaway that Lavender caught middle of the straightaway. It meant that Chan has to compromise on that entry and has to give it up. Now he's got a bad line, can't get the exit through 5. And that's where it's almost luck in the way that where Lavender catches him versus where Chan does. And for Chan, he's catching him in all the bad places right here as the closing stages of the race. Otherwise, he's fast, but when you've got to compromise to get around slower traffic, that's part of the game. And
exactly, that's part of the challenge of multi-class racing that these drivers have had to worry about all season long. And again, we mentioned it at the top of the broadcast. Sometimes it hasn't worked out well for them, but luckily here at Road America with these longer straightaways, for the most part, they've got a little bit more leeway to work their way around. They don't have to force the issue seemingly between I look back to Mo Sport, where with these never-ending twists and turns, there just wasn't a real good place ever to try and get that car through.
Yeah, Road America much better for that.
Yeah. All right. So we're on board right now with Eduardo Lorente. Is clock clicks down.
We were talking about him earlier when he had Bell behind him, and Bell was so stable, and Lorente was like, "Wow, that car is so tough under braking." But he's also leading the AM class, so it's working for him.
Yeah, he's had a handle on it the entire race here. Yeah. As Lorente, he's got about a 40-second advantage over Steve Daniel, who's running 2nd in AM.
Yeah, and for Lorente, we talked about it earlier. He's had a couple 3rd places, and he had the win, of course, at Suzuka. So trying to go back-to-back here in the AM class with wins at Suzuka and now here at Road America, and he's got all of about 8 minutes to survive to the end to do do it.
Actually, all of about 4 minutes, or 3 minutes, Larry.
Yeah, I can't add. You're right. It's all about 3 minutes.
And I thought I was the one who's bad at math around here. All right, so we're back over to this battle for the lead. And Arthur Chan, I guess after that bobble he had about 3 laps ago, just has not been able to close things down. As a matter of fact, has lost a little bit more ground having to deal with traffic, as you mentioned. Yeah. Gap between the two drivers now about 1.8, almost 1.9 seconds. And look at this, Chan's going to have bad luck again going through Canada, having to go side by side with the Ferrari of Bobby Childs.
Break.
No.
This last 3-4 laps cannot catch a break, constantly catching a GT3 car, and for him, just all the wrong places. Not the GT3 car's fault, it's just a happenstance where it is. But it just means that when you're in that fight and you go from 0.9 back to 1.9, it's all happening because those couple of tenths you lose in those corners. And now there's the white flag waving. This is going to be it. This is the only chance he's got is in the next 4 miles.
That's it. 4 miles, 14, make it 13 more turns, Larry, as we are on the last lap here at Road America. Caleb Lavender in the 333 machine. He is your leader. He's had that Lavender Racing entry up, sitting in the lead since the second pit stop cycles here. And the Axon Driving Solutions machine of Arthur Chan now sitting 1.6 seconds back. He's actually picked up about 0.3, Larry, since he cleared the Ferrari in Canada corner.
He's going to have to do that on every corner at this point to try and catch Caleb Lavender. I don't know if that's going to happen without something for Lavender. Lavender's kind of in cruise control at this point, just has to get to the second half of this lap. And I'm sure he's watching the gap carefully. He's not playing it dumb. He knows hasn't won this race until he sees the checker go by. Definitely Chan putting in a solid lap here on the last lap. It's just unfortunate for him. Might be too little too late.
And through the kink there. Oh. And
yeah,
flat. Looking at it, looking backwards as you go through the corner, it doesn't make it any less scary than when you look at it going
70 miles an hour, just flat to the kink. It's insane.
Absolutely nuts.
And I just feel bad for Kristen Eisler, who could have been right in the middle of this battle here for these three if it wasn't for this curb that's right about there. Unfortunately for him, took him out, but it did not take out Caleb Lavender, who's got just one more hill to climb.
There you go. And Lavender rounds turn 14. He's going to start to make his way up the hill on Road America Straight, comes under the start finishing bridge, and Caleb Lavender will take the win. Margin of victory 1.1 seconds over Arthur Chan, who finishes in second. Jennifer McDonald, we've got a little while to wait there. There's McDonald now as she makes her way down towards Canada Corner. She can hold things here. She will come home in third, both overall and in LMP2, with Chris Thorman sitting currently fourth in the class. All right, let's jump back over now to Evan Peichel. He is your leader in GT3 Pro, has about a 5-second advantage over Tony Kernan's Porsche. Kernan in the number 7 car has seemingly been about 5 seconds back from Peichel now for the last half of the race or so, since before the pit stops that these drivers took, and coming out of turn 14 now and heading his way up the hill. Evan Peichel will take the win in GT3 Pro here at Road America.
And for him, that's a bit of a recovery and a bit of a redemption drive, as well, as he was another one that had some fuel issues there at Suzuka. And so he's awfully happy to see that checker flag.
There you go. Tony Kernan crosses the stripe. He's going to finish in second. And we're still waiting on Jeff Jacobs in his Mercedes. He would finish in third, but we're on board right now just ahead of Jeff Jacobs. This is Eduardo Lorente in the number 9 Ferrari. And in that Courage Motorsports machine, only a couple more corners to go. And when he comes across the line, assuming he doesn't have any issues there with Chris Thorman, when Eduardo Lorente crosses the stripe in his number 9 Ferrari, he will take the win in GT3. And congratulations to Eduardo Lorente. And it looks like our second and third place finishers in GT-AM have already crossed the stripe. So Steve Daniel, he will finish in second. Julian Bell in his number 52 Porsche will finish third. And now crossing the stripe, there's Jeff Jacobs. He's going to take the final podium position in GT3 Pro.
What a finish. Some strong finishers there with our points leaders kind of shuffling around there. Of course, Lorente able to get a victory. Peichel essentially flag to flag, and Lavender doing what they needed to do to have a nice short stop at the end and holding off a hard charging Chan. What a pretty good race in all three classes.
All right, Larry, so tell you what we're going to do now that we've had the checkered flag and we've had all of our drivers cross that beautiful start-finish line right in front of the media building at Road America. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to interview some of our podium finishers here from Road America. You have just seen round number 4, season number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be back in just a few moments with those interviews.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
All right, welcome back to Road America, where you've just seen the 75-minute battle to the checkered flag here for the Ricmotech World Challenge. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry McLeod. Let's go and we'll run things down quickly once again for you, and then we're going to bring some folks in and talk to them. Taking the win tonight, Caleb Lavender in the 333 D2D E-Racing entry. Arthur Chan, great effort there at the end. The Axon Driving Solutions entry, he will finish second in LMP2. Jennifer McDonald in her BTL Motorsports entry will finish in third. In GT3 Pro, Evan Peichel in his Alpine Stars BMW takes the win. Tony Kernan in his Kernan Motorsports Porsche will finish second, and Jeff Jacobs in the number 38 StreetSurvival.org Mercedes will finish on the last step of the podium. And then in GT3 AM, Eduardo Lorente in his Courage Motorsports Ferrari takes the win. Steve Daniel in the SKKJ Racing Ferrari finishes second, and Julian Bell in his Graphite Racing Porsche will take home third place in AM. Bobby Childs finishing just off the podium. All right, so Larry, it looks like we've got Evan Peichel here in the number 263 BMW, the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing entry, our winner in GT3 Pro. Let's bring him on in.
All right, we've got your GT3 Pro winner tonight, Evan Peichel. And Evan, good night to be in the BMW by the looks of it.
Yeah, I guess it was. This setup that I have was really good.
Yeah, it looks strong. It looks strong coming off the corners, and kind of got you from essentially flag to flag finish. But you a little bit of pressure there from Tony Kernan in the middle part of the race. Was that was Tony able to just stick with you and able to open that gap, or did you make some mistakes and allow him to catch back into you?
There were a few things. I know the drop off in the BMW is a lot worse than the Porsche, and so he kind of caught back up to me through there, and then I was just trying to keep him at draft, like red out of draft range, while I tried to save a little bit of fuel, and it ended up working because I didn't underfuel this time.
Well, I was going to ask you a little about this. Tonight feel a little bit like a redemption over the last round in Suzuka?
I guess so. I mean, not really with pit stop strategy because this time I missed my pit box, had to reverse into it, and took an extra lap of fuel.
Oh,
But I mean, I guess result wise, yeah, it is redemption.
I always say an extra lap of fuel is better than one lap too few of fuel. So I'd say from that aspect, tonight was the result you probably were looking for. And from a points position with you and Tony, I suspect you guys are going to come out of here pretty much even up going into the next round. So you still feeling like excited now about the remainder of the season and where you are with the points between you and Tony, and of course Mike Dam that wasn't here tonight.
Yeah, I'm feeling more excited for the remainder of the season than the beginning. It is sad that Elvis had to drop out to
Mhm.
not race anymore, but he has his own things with Pesk, and that just gives the championship hopefully to somebody else.
Yeah, well, you're right there in that mix. Like I said, you and Tony and Mike are putting on one heck of a show, and what you did tonight was flag to flag, essentially from green to checker. Victory is a pretty solid stamp on a win. So for that, nice job there. And anybody you want to thank for the victory tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my parents for, well, parenting me. I want to thank my grandparents who I know are watching this race, and all of my teammates. I know one of them is watching or watched it as well, and then all the team sponsors.
Of course, got to always thank the sponsors. So good job tonight, Evan. Congratulations on the win, and I cannot wait to see this battle unfold in the next round.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. That was Evan Peichel, driver of the number 263 Alpine Stars BMW, our winner tonight in GT3 Pro. And Larry, let's bring in now Caleb Lavender, our overall winner tonight, taking the win in LMP2 in the 333 D2D E-Racing entry.
Hey, Caleb, congratulations on the win tonight. And I got to ask right up front, a little better fuel strategy for you tonight than last round?
Yes, indeed. Way better.
Yeah, just a bit. You look quick tonight. What we noticed is at one point when you finally caught up to Kristen Eisler there in the middle part of that race, were you doing a little bit of fuel saving to try and make it go a little longer into the race for that last stop?
Yeah, once I got up behind him, I realized instead of making a move, I should just, stay tucked in, stay in the toe and save a little bit. And I noticed that Arthur had went on a different strategy, like short fueling on the first stop. And then I knew all I had to do was keep up with Christian at some point and save some fuel, and I'd be good.
Yeah, so when you came out of your second stop, you had a very hot Arthur Chan right there on your heels. Were you doing a lot of relative watching and seeing what he's doing, or were you just trying to hit your marks and watch the traffic in front?
I actually took a little bit too much fuel, and I think about a lap too much. Well, I guess it was close because we could have went an extra lap if my lap times would have been a little bit better. But yeah, he was coming hot, and then I got a break with the traffic and opened it up a little bit.
Yeah, the traffic certainly didn't hurt you there in the end of the race, and I'm sure Arthur was thinking, "Man, why do I have to catch every car in the apex at 5?" Well, you seem to be catching them right in the middle of the straightaways, which, hey, sometimes it's your day and sometimes it's not, but you use it to your advantage when you can. But strong victory tonight, overcoming a little bit of redemption for the last round. And I'm looking at the points now. I haven't seen the full update, but you're going to probably get by Randall, who wasn't here tonight. You were a few points down from Kristen, who had that unfortunate accident there in front of you. But I think between you and Arthur, you guys are going to be pretty close and catching up to Christian pretty quickly for the next round. So you got to be pretty excited about the remainder of this season, the way it's going to unfold.
Yeah, I got some good tracks coming up, so looking forward to maybe getting a few more wins, hopefully. And yeah, Arthur's got pace, man. He surprised me tonight.
Yeah, definitely. He's solid, and his strategy tonight was very interesting to watch. And I'd love to see those kind of things play out. And you guys just you both maximize what you did with your own strategies, and for you, able to take that first place spot, always the more interesting and way to end up, and for you, more pleasurable. So, congratulations on the win, Caleb. Anybody you want to thank for the win tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Proforma Elite Texas Graphics and Skull Sim Gear for supporting the team, and you guys for the great broadcast, and Ricmotech and Proforma Elite Texas Graphics for sponsoring the series.
Thanks, Caleb, and congratulations on that win. We definitely can't wait to see the next round.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Caleb Lavender, our winner tonight in the 333 D2D E-Racing Skull Sim Gear entry. And now Larry, he's just made his way into the green room. Let's bring in our winner from the Pro-Am category, driving the number 9 Courage Motorsports machine, Eduardo Lorente.
Leading for a while.
All right, Eduardo. Hey, Eduardo, congratulations on the AM win tonight. You came in as the points leader, and you come out of here with another victory. You're on a pretty good run here. Did you think you were going to win tonight coming into this?
I have to admit, I felt like I was on my back heels, I guess, for most of the week. Didn't get an opportunity to do much practice, and just thought I would just get whatever points were available. But frankly, I guess I got to watch the video and see what happened to Julian and to Bobby.
Yeah, they each made their own mistakes off tracks and lost a bunch of time, where you managed to kind of keep it on. Your car, though, I got to say, just from watching the feed, looks a little squirrely under braking. I don't know if that's something you could feel, or if it's just something we were seeing.
Yeah, no, that absolutely right. I mean, this is the first setup that I didn't sort of make myself. I just used the VRS setup this week, and I kind of regretted it because it just felt really uncomfortable. I didn't have a lot of confidence in it this week. Just wasn't to my taste. I'm sure it works fine for others, but yeah, no, good eye. Very good observation.
Yeah, but for you, you managed, like we talked about Bobby, we talked about Julian. These guys had their struggles, offs in different places, but for you, may not be the most comfortable setup, but somehow it seemed to work with you and limit your mistakes and able to come away with a victory. So this is kind of back-to-back victories here at Road America. So this is some big tracks to get some big wins for you.
Yeah, really, really. I gotta say, I really enjoyed tonight. I wish I had an opportunity to talk to you guys back at Suzuka. I felt like that was a stronger race for me, but I'm just counting my luck. I'm I guess I'll take it as it comes.
Well, you well-deserved victories both weeks, and definitely looking forward to see what you can do. And maybe with your own setup, you could even be a little bit quicker in the next round. So for tonight's win, do you want to thank anybody, any sponsors or family?
Just the league administrators and the rest of the drivers. I mean, like this is my first full season with Ricmotech, and I'm enjoying every race. It's been fabulous, and way back with Canada and just running through all the way to Road America. Each event is just an absolute joy to participate in.
Well, we're real glad to have you on board, and we love calling these races as much as you guys love driving them. So I'm looking forward to every round as it goes, and I think the battle here in GTM is going to be a tight one all the way to the finish. And right now, back-to-back victories got you in the points lead, so we'll see where you can come around to the next time we're at this. So congrats on the win, Eduardo, and looking forward to seeing you next time out.
Terrific. Thanks.
All right, there you go. That was Eduardo Lorente, winner tonight in the GT3 AM category in the number 9. Pardon me, in the number 9 Courage Motorsports Ferrari. All right, Larry. So as we get things, as we start to wrap things up here from Road America, wanted to let everybody know we've gotten word now that the points have been updated already in the World Challenge. So if you want to head over to extrememotorsports99.com/road, you can find out not only more about the series, but of course find out more about the point standings going into round 5 of 8 here in the World Challenge. But let's take a look, Larry, at what we've got coming up on the schedule. Next week, that is November 1st, we've got round 5 of the brand new Lambo Trophy Series. They're going to be at Virginia International Raceway, and as they always do, they're going to have 2 30-minute races inverting the field after race number 1. It always ends up being very exciting there, and they're all fighting for a great prize, chance to run multiple laps at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in a real Lamborghini. So definitely want to check it out. I think that might drive up the aggression levels just a little bit in the LTS, and we've seen some great racing and some great battling there. And then in 2 weeks, the Ricmotech World Challenge will return to Watkins Glen International for another 75-minute race. You don't want to miss it. That is going to be next, 2 Monday nights from now. All of our races start at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, keep apprised if you go to Apex Racing TV's social media channels, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram, you'll be able to find out our first dates for the next season of the Classic Sprint Series, due to start in early January. So go ahead and check that out, and all you got to do is search for Apex Racing TV, all one word, to find out about all the great events and races that we have coming up on Apex Racing TV, both in the Ricmotech series and others as well. So for Larry McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsburg. I want to thank again Jonathan Grabowski and also Dennis Branch, sitting in the virtual production trailer, for all the great work that they do to make Larry and I look and sound so good, because we have great faces for radio. And we will see you next Monday night for the Lamborghini Trophy Series. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.